Welcome to another episode of Permission to be Wealthy. I'm your host, Tasha Chen. And as you know, every conversation of this podcast will always be geared towards reminding you that you deserve to have wealth with ease.
Today's episode is sponsored by Starcox, your business building dream team for business owners who want it all but can't do it all. Whatever is taking time away from your zone of genius in your business, let Starcox handle that. Whether you need branding, social media management, systems and automations, website or landing pages, sales and marketing, content creation, and more. Shami and Jesse and their team of experts are your one-stop solution to implement the projects that have been keeping you stuck while you focus only on your favorite parts of your business. Get unstuck today and scale your business with the Starcox Dream Team.
Hey, ladies, goddesses of wealth. Welcome to another episode of Permission to be Wealthy. I am with Chad Brown today, and I am just going to humbly prepare you for a mind-blowing conversation.
Oh, geez, don't build it up.
And so I'm being humble, and so is Chad. So let's dive right in. Chad is a leadership and engagement expert, and he is a podcast host for Naked Leadership. And what we're going to talk about today is going to go here, there, and everywhere, but it's going to really center around some of the things that I think, Chad, you can add value to that I think our women really feel challenged by in their own leadership journey.
Yeah.
Right? All right. So I'm going to start with I think a little bit of a mind twister of a question, which is,
great. Let's go.
As you think of your personal definition of wealth,
Yes.
podcast is Permission to be Wealthy. As you think of your personal definition of wealth, what do you think is included in that definition that is just unique to you that the world at large might not consider a part of their definition of wealth?
Okay. I see wealth personally. I mean, obviously, I love that you asked this question because I think you probably get a different answer
From every person.
every single time you ask it, which is amazing. For me, it's a very holistic experience.
Mm-hmm.
So right at first, it starts with me, the center of me, my heart. How am I with myself?
Yeah.
Am I leading myself well? Am I engaged in self-care?
Yeah.
Then it goes out to my family. Are my relationships with my family healthy, thriving, fun, all of that sort of stuff? Then it would go out to my business.
Yeah.
The bank account. Is the bank account healthy? Sorry, physical body is before that too.
Yeah.
Am I physically healthy?
Yeah.
Do I feel like I could go run down a soccer field with my son?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That sort of stuff. So it starts center for me and then goes out from there to family and then to business. And then ultimately, community is one thing that I'm really opening my eyes to. I've been so focused on my business and so focused on my family that I think for a good portion of my life, I've neglected the power of healthy community.
Yeah.
And I'd have to include that too, is healthy relationships within a community that I feel valued and that I'm giving value to.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Part B of the question, which I was going to totally just unarm you with, but you already answered. I like to keep it real because in this context, there is a woman listening who thinks invariably you or I, we have it all figured out. Right? So I just like to keep it real by asking this question was, as you get clarity around your definition of wealth, like what would you say is like, you know what, Tasha, but if I'm being honest, this is the way that I'm kind of missing the ball right now. And what I hear you saying is I've had the awareness that it's the value of community.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's one of them. And I've got like 15 others.
I told you, what I tell you, right? I love that. But we don't have to get into it. It's just the acknowledgement that, hey, just so you know, like I am a human in progress.
Yes.
And I know what my definition of wealth is. I'm striving towards achieving it. And I'm falling short a little bit in some ways, just as much as I'm achieving in others.
Lifelong, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
Absolutely.
Hopefully it's a lifelong journey. Otherwise, what is there?
Yeah.
If I don't know, like if I'm not striving for wealth in some area for the rest of my life,
yes,
I'm not quite sure I want to be alive.
okay, like, can we pause and go off on a tangent on just that
Please, let's go.
for the next like 30 minutes? If I'm not striving for wealth in some area of my life, it's almost as if I don't even know if I deserve to be alive,
Not
right?
deserve. I don't know if I want to be.
If I want to be alive,
Well, I mean, what's the purpose?
what's the point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
don't buy the idea of an arrival point.
Yeah.
Each arrival point has a new summit,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
so if I just couldn't imagine it, but if there comes a time in my life where there's not another challenge to face, I just don't know. I don't know that that's worth it.
Oh man, I love that. Okay. I know everyone's feeling inspired right now, and I want to dive into another thing that I learned about you that I think you can really contribute to our audience, which is as women, and I'll speak for me, maybe you all aren't like this and it's just me.
You're alone. I bet.
Right.
You're the only one
I'm
that's
the
ever had
only
this
one
thought.
that's ever had this problem. But when I met my husband, you know, like smart man that he is, he said, one of the things I'm looking forward to learning about you is how you handle conflict. And I went, I'm never going to forget. I was on the phone and I went, oh my God. And I go, Tasha, just be honest. Just be honest. Just be honest,
Smart
right?
man.
And I said, you know, I'm going to tell you the truth. This is going to be the growth area for me in our relationship because I fear conflict. I fear it. I hate it. I want to run away from it.
Yes.
And the more I serve women, the more I realize that that is something that many of us have in common is that we are afraid
Yes.
of conversations or situations or, you know, experiences that cause conflict. And so we avoid them.
Yes.
Now, my husband is like, oh, I can't wait for us to have our first conflict. I'm like, you have issues, right?
I love him.
But
I love him already.
I've gotten to know you. I'm like, here is this dude being like, oh yeah. What did it say? Is like, I thrive in difficult conversations.
Yes.
And I would love if you could just talk a little bit about that and think of, you know, many women who are probably not experiencing their version of wealth and wealth creation
Yes.
simply because they can't do this well.
I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And it's not that they can't do it well.
Yeah.
It's that they choose not to.
Yeah.
And that is a very it's a very important distinction for me to make in this conversation because the power is within you.
Yeah. Well said.
It's nobody else has the power to stand in conflict other than you. And it's there when you're ready to engage it.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that. And sometimes, you know, it can be an educational challenge, right? Maybe there are some things that we can learn, some actions that we can do or engage in that help us in conflict, but ultimately it's us deciding. So what I say is conflict is the only path to intimacy.
Pause. What is that? Tweetable. Conflict is the only path to intimacy. Now I understand my husband's question.
Everything, that's why I love him, because everything else is a fantasy.
Wow.
Because all we have is conflict. That's it.
Yeah.
Because we are autonomous human beings with desires and you know when human beings come together, the only thing that exists for us to build on is conflict, right? So think about for yourself, think about the people that you're closest to in your life.
Yeah.
Like your ride and die,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You've probably gone through some pretty tough stuff
Yes.
with them.
Yes.
That's not by mistake, it's by design. So if we can choose to be in conflict in a meaningful way, we have a chance of creating deeper intimacy with the people that we're in conflict with. Now, I'm a leadership coach.
Yeah.
I work with company founders.
Yeah.
So to hear me start talking about creating intimacy,
Yeah.
some people are like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you talking about, right?
Yeah.
And for me, intimacy is just the connection that we have.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I cannot connect with you unless we can be in conflict in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
It's life-giving. That's why I say I thrive in it. It's not that it's easy for me. No, so don't.
And I think that's really a really good
Yes.
qualifier and distinction, right? Because I think my fear with conflict is that it's not easy.
Right.
Right. And so to hear you say, I love it, but doesn't mean it's easy for me.
Right.
Helps me.
Okay, but you're an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're not for easy,
Right. Amen.
right?
Yeah.
So don't kid yourself.
Yeah.
Just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's not worth it or meaningful.
Yes.
Right. So everybody listening to this, they're powerful entrepreneurs who have chosen a difficult road. I'm just going to say that
Yes.
being a business owner,
Yes.
being a company founder is a difficult struggle.
Yes.
That's kind of the reason we do it.
Yeah.
And so to opt out of conflict because it's hard, come on, that's inconsistent.
Yeah.
Be in it because it's hard.
Yeah.
Thrive in it, get life from it because of the challenge of it.
Yeah. So can you think of a real life story here where either with your client or with yourself? Because, the way I asked you the question was how, when we avoid conflict, it might be impacting our ability to create wealth.
Yes.
Right. And I think that somebody listening to this might go, I get it, in the context of intimacy in a relationship that's like a romantic relationship.
Sure.
But if we could tie that back to this is how I have seen, and you told this beautiful story this morning about one of your clients that was not able to grow his business to the capacity that was available because he was like having that conflict thing with the
Because of
people
lack of intimacy.
a lack of intimacy, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and his people, I don't know if for me that was conflict. It was
Absolutely.
so. Yeah, can you talk about that?
Conflict avoidant.
Yeah.
Right? Just drive hard towards the vision. Don't ever pay attention to where people are, where we don't agree, all of that sort of stuff. It's absolutely one of the key components of that was his avoidance of the conflict.
Yes.
And if he was willing, I guess I'll give a little background. A brilliant financial planner in the Midwest, top of his game.
Yeah.
Really sought after, waiting list to be one of his clients. This guy has got it going on, and his team was miserable.
Yeah.
And he couldn't understand for himself why they were so lazy, why they weren't committed. Why, all of these things.
Yeah.
And ultimately as we worked together and really questioned what was going on for him, he realized that he was using these people as a tool for what he wanted, not what their purpose was in life, and align that with the vision of the company.
Right.
Now, in order to do that, though, you're going to have to face some conflict.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be, inevitably, people are going to show up in a way that you don't want them to show up, or doesn't fit into what you think they should be
doing. Or
yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And he was avoiding those conversations, not navigating them well, putting them off, or if they needed to be had, he was like a pit bull in a china cabinet. And these are all avoidance techniques in conflict to just get through it rather than be in it.
Yeah.
So the opportunity is to actually, the invitation is, there's nothing wrong with conflict. That's the lie that we've all been sold.
Yeah.
Is that there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And
if you're in conflict, something's wrong.
That's right.
Right.
And I say, if you're in conflict, everything is right.
Ooh.
That means you're moving. There's something beautiful on the other side of that.
Yeah.
And you have to be in it to discover it, to achieve it. You said it's different than a marriage. I say it's actually the same thing.
Yeah. Wow. And just because I want everyone listening, I have the benefit of having heard this story with the client example all the way through. I want you to have the benefit of just hearing the value and the opportunity of becoming comfortable with what we perceive to be conflict and it being hard, is that this person had a very successful business that had an opportunity to be, some multiplier, 2 times, 10 times, I don't know, but larger. And they couldn't leverage that because of the limitations that they were experiencing with their team, right? And
That's
the conflict that was going. So he couldn't fulfill his big vision because of the conflict that was occurring within the team. And once this was resolved, you can take on the world. And I think maybe we don't have a team of 20, 50, and 25, But even if you look at within our families as a team, or, the people that we partner with in our business, as thinking of it as these are just other humans that, I can go so far with this
Yes.
conversation. I'm thinking
Yes.
about someone who's a referral partner for me. And recently, it seems like we're at odds, but I don't know why.
Yes.
Right? It's like she's just like not talking to me, not responding. And we were friends. And I'm like, what's happened? What have I done? That's what we always do too. Like,
Yes.
what have I
Yes.
done?
What's wrong, bad, or broken with
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
it, or them,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's what keeps us stuck.
Yeah.
That's a self-made prison. When we've got to make us wrong or them wrong or bad or broken or whatever, it keeps us stuck in the conversation. If we could just say, oh, actually, this is perfect
Yes.
because it's like the X that marks the spot for the treasure,
Yes.
right? And the conflict is the
Oh,
X.
yeah.
If you can go after that
Yeah.
and be with it, then there's something amazing on the other side of it.
Side.
I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's beckoning to you. It's like, it's the way to get like all weird about it. It's like the way the universe screams at us and says, your treasure is
It's
over
right
here. That's
here.
right.
Oh my gosh.
Joseph Campbell said, the treasure you seek is in the darkest cave you don't want to enter.
Say that all the time.
Yes.
I say that all the time. And so I just want to put that like as a thought. I like I like actionable things from these conversations. And just as we are thinking about wealth creation and defining what that looks like for us, what if that opportunity for each of us to create wealth, however we define it, is marked by where we're experiencing conflict.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I love that. And I want to bring up something else that I had from our conversation earlier, and that is you said you never set goals.
Nope.
Tell me about that.
So it's a little flippant. It's a little like clickbaity.
Okay.
I'll be honest.
Clickbait us.
But there's a truth behind it that I think is unique.
Okay.
And the truth is this, is that I'm far more interested in discipline than I am goals. What I mean by that is we think, especially it can be really sexy in business to talk about the big wins,
Yeah.
right? The milestones,
Yeah.
this much revenue, this
Yeah.
much profit. I'm 7 figures, I'm
Yeah.
8 figures,
Yeah.
and that we really worship that
Mm.
as a culture of
Yeah.
entrepreneurs. But that's not, but that is, none of that happens without the little decisions and disciplines that we make every single day.
Mm.
So the context that I put this in that I think most people can relate to, and hopefully this brings it home, and I think it's universal,
Yeah.
is health, going to the gym,
Yeah.
working out,
Yeah.
right? So how often, and I've done this a million times,
Yeah.
and I know a million people who have done it. I don't
Yeah.
know a million people, but I know a lot of people who have done it,
Yeah.
is that they get all excited about getting into shape, right?
Yeah.
And typically there's a goal. Oh, I'm going to lose this much weight. I'm going to lift this much weight. I'm going to run this race. I'm going to, all of that sort of stuff. And it's no secret. Anybody listening to this knows that these kinds of goals and resolutions are the least followed through.
Yes.
I don't know about the least, but they're very often not followed through.
Yeah.
Where they break down often, because what happens? You make the goal, you get excited about it, and then you don't make the progress that you think you should.
Amen.
And you quit.
Yeah.
Or sometimes even worse, you actually get the goal, and what now?
Yeah.
Then you quit.
Yeah.
And you go back to where you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And so for me, instead of setting those goals, I get focused on the discipline, the action, the every single day action, and I forget about the big win. So for me, what I tell myself every single morning at 5:30 a.m. is that you are the guy that works out 5 times a week for the rest of your life.
Wow.
You are the guy that works out 5 times a week for the rest of your life.
Right.
I don't care if you get fat. I don't care if you get skinny. I don't care if you get strong. I don't care if you win a race. whatever it is, I don't care. That doesn't matter. You're the guy that works out 5 times a week for the rest of your life.
I want to jump out of this chair and squeeze you and sing hallelujah and do all the things. And I did not think that's where you were going to go, right? When I saw this, I was like, I cannot wait to ask him about goals because I am not a fan of goals at all.
Yeah.
I am a fan of intentions,
Yes.
right? So I love what your response was totally different. But what I love is it's such a contribution to this, which is I'm more interested in discipline than I am in goals. This is the thing I'm committed to doing,
Yes.
right? It's like I'm not a runner at all. And I signed up to do a 5K and we use an app to like follow along. And I came home, we were in Hawaii on vacation. So again, I am also not the person who runs on vacation or works out at all on vacation. And we're in Hawaii and I run back to the hotel room. I'm like, I am your wife who just ran 20 minutes, right? Nonstop. And what I realized from that process was that thing that you talk about, which was honestly, I didn't care about the time I made when I actually ran the race. I didn't care about anything other than how proud I was of myself for keeping the discipline of running 3 times a week for 8 weeks.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so I teach from the book called The Science of Getting Rich. Those are the principles that we all use to create the results that we have in our lives. And one of the things that The Science of Getting Rich says is by action you receive.
Yes.
It is the only way, period.
That's
End
it.
of story. You're like, you can do all the right things, but if you don't take action, you will not receive.
Yes.
And I think I understand that so well that what I love about the way you framed it is I realize one of the keys to my success is my commitment to just being in action.
Yes.
Always in action. That's my
Always.
discipline thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The parallel to business is uncanny. You can instantly take it from that example and say, okay, I've got this vision of what I want my work to be. I do. I have a vision of what I want my work to be with founders and how much I want to spread my message. But all that matters is that I wake up tomorrow and go into the office and make the phone calls.
Yes. Yes.
And make the connections and do the actions and read the book and journal and that's the only thing that's going to actually get me there.
Yes.
So what's the point of this?
Yeah.
And so I just think it's a little bit of crass description, but I think so many goals can become mental masturbation, where it's just like you can almost. And this is neuroscience. This isn't just me talking. Is that we can actually get a hit of endorphins by setting a goal, and actually our brain is tricked into believing that we accomplished something.
Yeah.
Just by setting the goal.
Just by setting the goal.
And going and telling everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
And you get that hit.
Yeah.
And it can actually turn off the creativity and the drive in the brain.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, we need another 3 hours. And this has been incredibly valuable. I knew it would be. I knew we were going to go into like depths that 20 minutes is just not enough for. And I want to thank you humbly for just all the places that we went and your contribution to everyone listening. And to ask you, in your definition of wealth and your purpose, what is, in this moment in time, sitting here in front of me, when you think of your vision and your purpose, like what would be a dream? Like, I know you're not into, it's not a goal. It's just like, you know what, Tasha, in this moment, if I looked out that door and my vision had materialized fully, this is what it would look like and feel like for me. What's that?
It would be to be in the lives of as many company founders as possible that are looking to make the biggest difference they can in the world. I see myself as the guy behind, like the corner man is kind of how I describe myself, right? So the founder's the one out in the boxing ring making the difference. Yeah. And I get to be in the corner and just go shoulder to shoulder with them, show them what they're not seeing. Yeah. And to do that with as many founders as I possibly can, that's my dream.
Oh, I love it. And so it is. It's done. Right? Now we're just going to go take the disciplined action.
Let's go.
That's it. Chad, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say, or how can people find you to learn more about what you're
You
up
know,
to?
my podcast is a great place, Naked Leadership. In fact, I was going to say, we did an episode. I believe it's episode 145,
Okay.
where I do the podcast with our two founders of our firm,
Okay.
and I had a disagreement with them. I had a grievance. I had something that was really eating me up and bothering me. It was conflict, right?
Woo!
And so when we got on, I had given an outline for the podcast. It was on some other topic. And when they got on, I said, we're going to call an audible. And I want to actually dive into this conflict with you not live, but recorded
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Yeah.
They were completely surprised. They went with me. I mean, because this is the work we do.
Yeah.
So we modeled how we are in conflict together.
Okay.
And the awkwardness is visceral. The discomfort is there, but it's such a powerful conversation to display. Even though it's hard,
Yeah.
you can be in it together.
Yeah.
And so that's where I would point people to, given the context of our conversation.
Yes, I'm definitely going to check that out tonight. I want to hear conflict, like front row seats,
Yes.
seeing what that's like.
That's right.
I love it. Well, thank you for being on. Thank you for sharing with us.
Thank you. It's such an honor.